We are live. Now
We think we're back.
Yeah, we think. So let's just check this out.
Is that the My Edge members group that we're supposedly streaming in?
No.
Oh, just the My Edge group.
No, not even that group right now. But that's the group we're trying.
Well, it says My Edge in the upper left-hand corner. It says My
Edge. We're trying, but that's last week. No, for some reason it's not working. But hold on. Let's see. Oh, we are live. I think we're here. But we're frozen. Right? No, we're good. All right. Can you share that to your mom groups and everywhere else? Okay, Tass.
We're good?
I think we are good. I think we are there. Sorry, guys. We are 17 minutes behind. There we are, Mr. Walls. Thank you, guys. We had some issues here.
We made it.
And the truth is we just wanted Tass to have time to finish lunch.
That's going to take a little bit longer.
All right, let's give it another 5. All right, let's dive in, guys. Sorry, we'll dive right in because we're late. Struggling schools versus successful schools. And before all the haters come out, which you guys aren't haters, the ones that join us here, everybody defines success differently. And I say this all the time, being that we're business consultants, what I'm specifically talking about is financially successful schools versus financially struggling schools, and what is the difference? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think is the difference between schools that succeed and schools that fail, and then we'll tell you the difference. And I think it's going to be accurate whether you like the answer or not. It just depends if people want to hear it. But why are there some schools that succeed and some schools fail? Now, I would like to think this industry, if they really sat back and thought about it, and we've talked about this before, the answer is not, well, financially successful schools nickel and dime their customers. Well, that's not a universal truth. I mean, that's not the difference. Do some financially successful schools nickel and dime their customers? Yeah, I believe they do. But are there financially successful schools that do not nickel and dime their customers? Well, you guys know that. That's true as well. So what's the difference? We all teach martial arts. What's the difference? Go ahead, Tass.
And also, some people will say, well, not all success is defined by financial success, right? Which is usually coming from people that are not financially successful in their business, by the way. And I get that. There are different measures of success, but specifically for the show today, we're talking about financial success, right?
That's right. And by the way, this is a sarcastic question, but I'd really love to see you publicly answer the question. Thumbs up or thumbs down, or a yes or no, or whatever is appropriate in the digital world today. The people that are watching this right now, do you want your school to be more financially successful? Yes or no? I mean, you also know there's people in the industry that will say no. Maybe one's on here. I don't know. But if the answer is no, I would love to know why not, right? Here's a question. What does nickel and dime actually mean when it comes to business? Is that term necessarily negative when running a business and selling a product? Yes, Mr. Curry, it is. I'll give you an example of nickel and diming. I believe nickel and diming is anything that a company does when they're not upfront when you're doing business with that company. So, for example, if I call an AC company, I'm just making this up. If I call an air conditioning company and say, hey, I need to know how much it costs to fix my air conditioner. They come out and they say, well, you need a new unit. It's going to be $5,000. Okay, no problem. Let's do it. I need to fix it. Well, then they come out, they replace the unit, and I get a bill for $6,000. And I said, well, I thought it was $5,000. Well, yeah, but I didn't. There's labor, there's a trip cost, there's this, there's that. That's where I believe you're nickel and diming a client. Now, if they would have come out and said it's $5,000 for the AC unit, plus another $1,000 for labor and trip charges and everything else, I can make a decision. If I say yes, they're no longer nickel and diming me. I get to make a decision. But in our industry, if you sign somebody up and you tell them that you charge $100 a month for martial arts lessons, and let's say you get them on a contract or you just sign them up and the child or the adult loves it, and then a month or two into it, you say, by the way, there's a $50 fee now if you want to test. And also you're going to need this, and there's going to be a $100 fee for that. I believe you're nickel and diming these people if you weren't upfront with them to begin with, and you didn't tell them about all the extra charges they may incur when training at the school. So that's what I believe is an example of nickel and diming. Tass, you want to weigh in on anything?
Yeah, like when your car comes with a navigation system, but you can't actually get nav on your screen, you got to pay extra for that.
Exactly. But that usually comes with more like inexpensive vehicles. And that's why I have that issue.
No, 100%. You know, this, by the way, I think if I, well, not think, for me personally, if I go back in time and, I started my first school, I was 20 years old. And I remember my whole mission, my whole goal was just to get somebody to enroll. And because I didn't understand how to conduct business in a way where I was transparent, because there can be some finesse to that, right? Like, you're not going to say, well, by the way, it's $100 a month. It's $50 a month it's $50 every 2 months or 3 months for testing. You're going to need this equipment. You're going to do this. You can scare somebody away if it's not presented the right way as well. So what I did at the time, I mean, this goes back 28 years, right? What I did at the time was I wouldn't tell them about the other things. And then when they came up, I would just say, well, yeah, that's what it is. And that's how you upset customers. And it wasn't until I became a client, in the Maya program 12 years ago, whatever it's been now, where I was like, it was just very eye-opening on there's a right way to do this. And there's a way to present it where people understand what they're doing without scaring them, but also making sure that they have all the information. I think that's the other big thing, and I'll never forget the first thing. The first thing was the beginner equipment package. I'll never forget, like, when I heard how to implement the beginner equipment package, I was like, man, that was mind blowing, because I'm like, that's genius, because I never want to talk to anybody about it. And I would talk to them about it after the fact. And it never felt good to do business that way, by the way. I didn't feel good about doing business that way. But it's the only way I knew how to do it. So, yeah, I think maybe there's some people out there that are nickel and diming people that don't realize that they're nickel and diming people. It's because their presentation is potentially what it is as well.
Right. And Mr. Curry, so it relates to business ethics and transparency. As an example, yes, business ethics and transparency can foster the appearance of nickel and diming your customers. I think there's a lot of different examples. Here's another one. Here's a controversial one, everybody. I think if you have an upgrade program in your school where you force people to upgrade or they can't continue training, I don't like that either. I mean, I joined your school to join martial arts. I'm assuming I can get a black belt in martial arts. Everybody's heard of a black belt in martial arts. So I join your school. I get to a certain point, and then you tell me, well, you can't continue until you go into this higher level program, and you got to pay more money for that. I think that's a little nickel and diming. I don't think that's right.
Did you ever do that back in the day?
No.
You did?
I did not. I actually, back in the day, first of all, back in the day, I didn't have an upgrade program. And then when I heard about upgrade programs, I actually said, we'll lower your rate when you upgrade.
That's so funny.
Anyway, yeah, you're right. Look, Metz didn't nickel and dime on the webcam. He looks 4K. Tass, what's your deal?
I would agree.
Yeah. The difference is, sir, is when you have other people that spend your money, they just spend your money. I never would have bought this stuff that I'm looking at with the lights and this camera. So I'm on Tass's side. Okay, guys, let's talk about it. So I appreciate, let's see, the three of you, Mr. Mr. Gonzalez,
right?
good to see you, sir. And Mr. Walls and Mr. Maddox are the only ones who said, yes, I would like to grow my school financially. Nobody else? You don't want to play the game? You don't want to participate? But here's the thing. It's about social proofing because I know we've talked to people that said, I don't want to grow my school anymore. I'm happy where it's at. But that's good discussion and dialogue too. Thank you, Mr. Curry. Like Mr. Curry, you said, great explanations. I appreciate the discussion. That's what this show's about, a discussion. But listen, if you want to change your business and you want to grow financially, there's a couple principles here. And this is where I don't think there's an argument. You may self-defend yourself and create an obstacle. But number one, it's the choices that you make. Number one, the choices that because when I say what's the difference between a financially successful school and a struggling financial school? Well, what if you're both Taekwondo? You're both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You're both Kung Fu. You're both Hapkido. You're both Kempo. Whatever it is. Why is one doing so much better financially, the other isn't? And let's say you're both equal in quality and in tournaments or in competition or in producing self-defense results or whatever you define as a good martial arts school as far as instruction. Why does one succeed and the other does not? The choices that you make. Period. End of story. There's no discussion. Now, some of you may say, well, they're in a better location. Well, they're in a better location because they chose to be in a better location. I mean, it all comes down to choices. Do you know how many of you right now watching wanted to save $2,000 a month, let's say on rent, or $1,000 a month on rent to move a half a mile down the side street as opposed to the main road? Because in your mind, you're like, hey, we're just a half a mile down and rent's $1,000 cheaper. That is a decision that I would never make. I would never make that choice. I would pay the extra $1,000 to be on the main road in a high traffic area. Why? Because when you look at it, let's just pretend for a minute that your average student value is $100. People pay $100. That's how much each person's worth to your company, $100 a month. I don't look at it as $1,000. I look at it as, man, there's 20,000 more cars and traffic at this grocery store. Can I get an extra 10 students here by being here? An extra 10 than down the side street? Yes, and then some. And then it's an extra 10 students. How often? Every 2 months, every 3 months, every 6 months? Even if it's every 6 months that I think I'll get an extra 10 students, that's 20 more students a year. I'm making money by being in the higher traffic location. So it's about choices that you make. The second one is keeping an open mind. If you close your mind and constantly make excuses on why you can't, why it's wrong, why that's bad, why they're nickel and diming, why they're doing this, I'll just tell a story and then Tass, I'm throwing it to you. But my nephew was staying with me for a couple of weeks because he's from Pennsylvania. He was a Maryland Terp. He was at Maryland College. And now he's going to FSU, Florida State. So he transferred, music scholarship. And he came down and he's been staying with me for a little bit. And you could see that he wants to grow. But every time he would ask a question, his response to my answer would be like, well, yeah, but what if? Yeah, but if you, and I said, listen, every time you respond, the first gut instinct is an obstacle. I said, here's the lesson that I want to give him, that I want to give all of you. You always can learn something. And the way I explained it to him is, if I went to a buffet restaurant, and let's say the buffet was 30 feet long, and 28 feet of that buffet is stuff that I just don't like. I will not eat it. Most people would say, I don't want to eat here. There's nothing here I like. I don't want it. I'm not going. I don't want to eat here. I don't want to do it. Well, then the question is, well, what is it that you want to eat? Well, look, I just really want some chicken, some green beans, some mashed potatoes. Well, they have that on this buffet. There's chicken, there's green beans, there's mashed potatoes. You can always find something good, always, if you pay attention and keep an open mind, as opposed to looking at all the negative or the obstacles in front of you and then shutting your world down to 99% of the things that are out there. It's obvious today with Maya, I'll speak for us because I can't speak for anybody else, but it's obvious, right, to this industry. We've been around for 20 years helping schools grow. 20 years, consistent, 20 years. As an industry, I want everybody to sit here and think a minute. Think of all the people over the last 20 years, if you've even been in the business for 20 years, that have come and gone, come and gone. There's always the flash in the pan. There's always somebody new, something exciting, a different presentation. And we watch them and we just keep doing our thing. And we keep people forever. I mean, not everybody. I mean, of course, there's people that quit. But one of the things that I always tell people, if they ever call and they want to know about Maya, and they say, well, can I reach out to anybody? I say this to them. Would you like to reach out to current members or former members of Maya Elite? And I'm not talking about Maya with the kit in the box. I'm talking about our consulting program, because I'm happy to give you the numbers to people who aren't even in it, because I know they're all going to tell you how we did our jobs and how we did our best to grow their schools. And even people who have stopped have said it's the best thing I ever did for my school. And then I tell them, ask them, why did you stop then? And by the way, do you know how many people have stopped and then have come back? We especially in the last few months, we've had so many people come back from tenure. Mr. Walls is one of them, by the way. Mr. Walls is watching this right now. I worked with Mr. Walls probably 12, 13, 14 years ago. My point is, people will still bash things they don't know what they're saying. They've never experienced it. They've never done it. Do what successful people do and keep an open mind. And one little thing, one little nugget can change the course of your business if you want to be more financially successful. So go to the buffet. Don't look at the majority of it. Look at some of the stuff that you can take from it that'll still fill you up. And it's the same thing with any organization. Keep an open mind. So do what successful people do, make the right choices, and your school's going to grow. Tass?
Well, I mean, kind of. And here's the thing: we can give you guys the four steps of successful people, right? And of course, I'm bantering with Mets just to banter, but yeah, listen. Number one, the choices you make. Number two is have an open mind. And if you do both of those things, some of you talked about the Maya kits back in the day. You may have made the choice to get the Maya kits. You may have had an open mind and willing to implement some of the things. But I'll never forget going to a colleague's school and seeing 15 kits that were still in the cellophane, literally stacked up on the desk. Never even opened them. So you made the right choice to be part of a business, something that can help you in your school. You made the choice that when you did open the box, you actually took some of the ideas from it. But the last thing is that you need to make sure that you execute, and you got to follow through and do those things. And by the way, that's a choice as well. So in all fairness to Mets, that's part of choices. You can choose to do something with the information, or you can choose to do nothing with the information. And it sounds so simple, man. And this is sometimes, I think, why as consultants, we can get frustrated. It's not that we get frustrated with the person, but we get frustrated because we know we can help. But sometimes people are just so afraid to get out of their comfort zone and go do something that they've never done before, even sometimes with the right coaching. But that's truly what separates the successful people and ultra successful people from the not as successful people. The one who are willing to do the things that others are not, right? My son was just telling me the other day, he's big on, he's 16 years old, right? 17 years old. And he's online, and he does a lot of selling stuff online. And one of the things that he's looking to do, but he's waiting till he gets to be 18, just because there's hoops to jump through and everything else with PayPal accounts and other stuff. He can set it up and whatever, but it's easier when he's 18. So he did some research, and he said, Dad, he goes, it's interesting. He goes, 99% of people that open a Shopify account, which Shopify is basically just an online platform to allow you to sell your goods and items, never make it past the free trial. I said, say that again. He said 99% of people that get on and do the Shopify and sign up for a Shopify to launch their product, their business, their service, whatever it is, 99% of them never get past the free trial. I said, well, dude, there's your answer. Just be the 1% that does, and you're already beating 99% of the population that's doing this. It reminds me of some, of the stat that the majority of people that get a book only make it through the first chapter. It's very similar to that, right? And I think the same thing can happen in our business, where we may take some of the easy, low hanging fruit ideas that we feel comfortable implementing, and it can make a little bit of a difference in our school. But sometimes it's the ones that scare us that can make the biggest difference in our school, because it's the unknown. We haven't done it before. And we say this all the time. What's gotten you to where you are is not going to get you to where you want to be. And I don't remember who said it, but a long time ago, I remember hearing the expression, if your stomach isn't in your throat every day, you're not doing your job well enough. You have to have a little bit of fear every day to keep pushing you forward and to make decisions. I asked Metzger the question. Look, I believe, for me, and Metzger's made a lot of mistakes, right? But I remember in my 20s saying, I'm going to try everything. And if I make mistakes, because I remember hearing the expression, fail forward, fail often, and do it on purpose, right? Try new things, and some things are going to work and some things aren't. And I believe that, I've done a lot of failing, but because even at a young age, I remember saying to myself, I have a lot of years left if I do make a lot of mistakes to recover and rebound from those things. But I don't know that all of us have that in us. And I would encourage you, don't make mistakes blindly, right? This is where having a coach can be a huge benefit. And this is not a pitch on coaching, right? But it's a huge benefit for you, because we've seen down that road, and we've been down that road hundreds of times, and we can tell you and forecast and project what's going to happen, and we can have you watch out for the obstacles. It's like if you were blind and I was guiding you where to go, there's got to be a level of trust there, because I'm your eyes, right? And we can do that. And that's what any coach does, whether it's a football coach, basketball, boxing, MMA, whatever it is they guide you down that right path. But you have to make sure that you execute. And again, at the end of the day, that becomes a choice. And if there's fear, you have to ask yourself, well, why is there fear? What are you afraid of? Right. And then that's where you have this conversation with your coach. Well, this is what I'm afraid of. And what about this? And
Right.
that's where we can help, where coaches can help,
Yeah, I know what a lot of people are afraid of. You're afraid of losing the little bit of success that you have. So you're afraid to make
Right.
changes because things are going okay. Maybe you're paying your bills, you're taking some money home, you're doing okay, and you're afraid to make a change because you can't afford to lose what you have, and you're scared. And that's where the saying "good is the enemy of great" comes in, right? I mean, when people are good, we stop. So listen, it's you got to be you. What's frustrating again is we know how much we help people and the industry. And if you really want it, find help. You don't have to come to us. Just keep an open mind and do your research. Contact everybody, all the consulting groups, but all of them, not just us, not just another one, all of them. And then make your decision and be smart. And then talk to the clients that are there and see if it aligns with what you're doing. Now, let's answer the question here. Do you see the question, Cass?
I do. Yep.
You want to answer that since I don't know the answer?
Yeah, Mr. Weaver. So looking to add a class to my schedule. I'm guessing the class you want to add is a sparring session that rotates different disciplines and directs athletes to our competition team. I'm unclear about the direction to go. Do I charge extra fee, or do I just keep it as my basic program and only make sure that they buy the equipment package? If I do both, is that nickel and diming, or is it the industry standard? Great question. Well, if you tell them about it in the beginning, like we said earlier, it's not nickel and diming. So for example, when we have like our upgrade program, right, you're going to see people in black and white uniforms, black and red uniforms. And the reason I tell you this is it won't be long before your child wants one of those uniforms. Or even if it's an adult, I just want to explain what those uniforms are. Those are people that are in our higher level training programs in what we happen to call Black Belt Club or Masters Club. Now, Mr. Griffin, you're in MMA school. That could be elite program or your ultimate program as an example. But the reason I say that is that's a higher level of training. And those people are on in our case, right? They're on a 3-year program. Now, you don't have to say all that stuff, but I've just told them before they enroll what that is. And by the way, this is true for us. Over 80% of our people are in one of those programs. But that's not what you're ready for right now. You're going to start where everybody starts, which is our beginner basic trial program. And it's X number of months, whatever it is, right? So if you tell them about it from the beginning, fantastic. Now, let's say you say, well, I didn't do that, so I can't do that. I'm just going to sell them the equipment. Well, no, there's a right way to do that. and a right way to implement an upgrade program into your school, even if you didn't tell people about it in the beginning. But there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do that. But that's a bit of a deeper conversation, as to know a little bit more of the dynamics of your school and how things are set up, and what was said and what was not said. So
And
that's
the other thing I want
the
to add
gem.
there real quick is you can't take something away from your core curriculum. So if you wanted to start a competition team, sparring competition team, you could let people, if they want to go the route to focus more on competition, which is outside of the realm of just your basic program. Can I be in your regular program and compete in tournaments? Absolutely. But if you want to get extra hours in and come in on a Saturday, or a different more hours in a class that's specifically geared towards competition, you can let people know, here's the requirements. If you want to do that, it's this, and you'd have to buy this equipment for that. I mean, it's that simple on if you wanted to do something like that. So along with what Taz said, don't take something away from anybody ever, but you can always add to it, as long as it doesn't it's not a requirement that I have to do that in order to become a black belt in what I signed up for. Okay. Or an advanced student for what I signed up for, depending on how you rank your students. But you really, guys, look, you really got to think about this. Tass, you were just telling me beforehand, here's an example. You were just telling me about a client, and he said, hey, I'm seeing some enrollments are down a little bit. And you asked this client, when he started with you, this client happened to be doing about $50,000 a month. Okay.
Right.
Now, how long had he been in business at that point when he started with you? Do you have any idea?
Probably about 5 years.
So he's been in business 5 years, and by the time he came on, he was doing about $50,000 a month. Had an open mind, wasn't happy doing $50,000 a month, wanted to do more. Joined up with Tass, and he's been with you now for how long? 3 years, 4 years?
Ooh, yeah, 4, probably all of 4, maybe 5.
Okay. And he called, and they were talking, and you were just telling me this, like I said, an hour ago. They were talking, and he said, hey, are you seeing some enrollments down? We're slowing down a little bit. And the first question, you started talking, you said, well, look, let me ask you something. How many months have you had over $100,000 where he did over 100 grand a month, double than what he was averaging? And what was his answer?
Yeah, the last 12 months consecutively have all been over 100 grand.
Yeah, the last 12 months, every month for the last year has been over $100,000. Why is that relevant? Well, he didn't just all of a sudden change the way he teaches, his style, his system. It's the way he does business. And obviously, if he wasn't doing something with integrity, I don't think he would have more than doubled his business. So I can't stress enough to all of you. Couple things: choices, open mind. Tass, you said it. Execution. You got to execute. And here's the next thing, and it goes along with open mind. Maintaining is harder than getting there. Maintaining is harder than getting there. So if you're a school owner that has 20 students, you're going to come out of the gates blazing. We'll get you to 200 students. But then staying at 200 is going to be harder than initially getting there, staying there, right? And keep growing. And that is why you have to have the mindset, like Tass said, with the frog in the throat. You have to have fear, because if you just strive to maintain your business, the only place you can go is down. If I want to maintain, I can only go down. But if I have the mindset, I got to grow, I want to grow, I want to grow, I want to grow, I can bust through that ceiling and keep growing. And now I have the ability to go up, maintain, or go down. Right? So you got to make sure that,
by the way,
remember, go ahead, Tass. Well, just let me say this. You got to remember what got you to where you are won't get you to where you want to be tomorrow. And you constantly have to evolve. And you also got to remember what got you there in the first place. Right? But go ahead.
Right. And, and people can do this on their own, right? There's no question. I mean, there's a lot of people that do. The question is, are you the type of person that can stay there and continue to look for what else you can be doing, and how can we get better? And if you are you looking at the right things also? But, to your point about maintaining, It is. There's a drive and a burning desire for a lot of people to get to a certain level, right? Whether that's a certain number of students, whether it's a certain gross revenue per month, whatever it is. Well, what you have on your side is you've got that drive and that burning desire. But then ultimately, when you hit that goal, well, what's your drive and what's your desire? And oftentimes people will say, well, now you got to establish a new goal, which should actually be done before you even hit that goal as you get closer to hitting that goal. But for some people, it's not enough motivation and drive to get from 30 students to 200 as it is to get from 200 to 300, right? Because now other things start happening where you're, like you said, you're comfortable, you're paying your bills, you're making an okay living. So now it's hard to find that drive. And this is why, regardless of where you go and what industry you're in, I'll give an example. You need to surround yourself with like-minded people that are trying to accomplish the same thing. Back to my son. I said, if there was a group of guys that and they're influencers, or they're this or they're that, or they're crushing it right now online with an online store, and they had a program where you could go out and you could sit in a room with them and they would teach you, and it was $2,000, would you do it? He said, in a heartbeat, I would do it, because that's the knowledge that he wants right now. And so he's going to go after people that have that knowledge and go sit in a room. But I said, the important part about that, by the way, is validating and verifying that these guys are the real deal, and they're just not teaching something to teach it, as opposed to they actually can get the job done, right? And I think that's another important lesson is if you want to be great and be a great, plumber, if you want to be a great electrician, well, there's apprentice programs for that. And you go there and you surround yourself with those types of people. Well, in most every industry, there's some sort of a mastermind group that you go to. And that mastermind group is about everybody getting better results. So I think, again, looking at where you are, where you may be, that group for me, and there may be some people watching, but that group for me was never the local tournament circuit, because I found that a lot of times it was puffery, right? It was a lot of people that were rounding to the nearest 100 students. They really didn't want to share their numbers with you. They didn't want to be honest with you because everyone was trying to outdo the other person. And that's not healthy competition. Healthy competition is when you're in a group with people and they're transparent about where they're at, because they show their vulnerabilities, because if they do that, there's opportunity for them to grow. And when you can surround yourself and you're in a group of people like that, man, it's fun. It's so much fun, because it's lonely at the top when you're there. It's your school. You're the owner. You're the chief, and then you have your team underneath you. And there's like, what else are you doing? Like, you have to be the one constantly bringing the information to your people. But what do you do for yourself? How are you recharging your batteries? How are you filling your bucket to go out and give your people more? And that's where masterminds came from, right? That was the concept and idea of doing a mastermind, is getting around other like-minded people. So you have all these owners that are in a room, and you're like, okay, now we can all brainstorm. They get excited. Their buckets get filled. They go back to their businesses, and they get people excited about doing the same thing. So
let me give you an example, everybody. So, Chris Rodriguez is on the Maya team as our digital marketing specialist, and has an unbelievable business, Grow Pro agency, where she can run ads. And she's all about marketing, right? And she tells me that I have to post more of my success, right? I got to post, I got a new car, I need to post it. I got a new house a couple of years ago, I need to post it. And the thing is, I just don't post it. I don't post that stuff, right? That's just not me. I don't post it. But what I will post, and why I will post this, is I'm going to brag on my team a minute, and I'm going to post. I'm not going to post it. I'm going to show you. I'm not posting this either, but I'll show you, because it's something that you can achieve, and it's something to aspire to, right? So I'm going to show you two parts. We have a corporate structure, so we could take a student that can become an assistant instructor to a senior instructor to a chief instructor to an assistant manager to a manager to a director to a chief director of operations, yada yada. Well, Mr. Nick Peterman, he and Mr. Eric Santamaria Obeda Benwali did the instructor college at the Super Show, if you were there. But this is how the team thinks. These are the people we surround ourselves with. These are the people that I try to read from. Mr. Nick Peterman, I was training with him since he was like 9. 9 years old, and he came on board with me when he just turned 14, and he's in his 40s. Let's go that route. So he's been with me a long time. But as we're sitting here, I get a text that he copied in the other directors. And here's his text message, just so you know. It's a link, if you can see it. It says, "This is gold. If we focus on being better, our customers will demand we get bigger." We're constantly seeing how we can do better for our customers, for our clients, and Elite.
Yeah.
Now, what gets us to where we are, I get a printout of how the schools are doing. And this is a testament to the directors and the teams and the managers, assistant managers, instructors. But here's a list. I've shown this before. Oh, I keep forgetting where the camera is, but the camera's up here. But this is, you can see that, 2022. And so far, where are we at? Let's see, that's blurry. Anyway, here's the deal. Right now, through July, we're $2,200 shy of $2.8 million with 7 locations, right? Where it's all team. There's just management and oversight. Myself or Mr. Silverman aren't in those schools. We put the time in. We've been around for 30 years. We put the time in. We've learned a lot in 30 years. But 2.8 million, I was doing the calculation, is what? Just a little over an average of $57,000 a month per location. Our model, by the way, is 2,000 to 2,400 square feet, 2,000 to 2,400 square feet, to give our black belts, to give our people opportunities to make a great career. And if you come to Orlando, you will see that our locations are about 3.5 to 4.5 miles apart from each other. Our model is not to have the big super school. By the way, that is not with an after-school pickup program. That's not with full-fledged summer camps and all this other stuff. My guys don't have to get into their school till 2 o'clock. Generally speaking, 2 p.m. They can get in at 2. Why? Because I told them I wanted them to have lunch with their family, go take care of things, right? We don't need to work all these hours, except during times like this, the back to school time. These schools, I also have the text. We enrolled 151 students on last weekend. Last weekend, we enrolled 151 students on 1-year programs. We have 200 leads, let's just say, to follow up with. So I told the teams, I told the directors to tell the teams, look, that's the job, right? Maybe we can't come in at 2 o'clock now. We might have to come in at noon or 11 to get all of this done, because we're in a back to school season where all of you need to understand it's time to recruit. And you need to focus on recruiting right now. And we cannot lay back. We got to take advantage of this, because we do not have a recruiting opportunity like the back to school season or the fall season until next year. Okay. Now, some people will say, well, we're always recruiting. So are we. But we recruit more students in August and September than any other 2 months in the rest of the year.
Right.
My point is systems. And if you are an owner operator, if you are an owner and you are in your school, right? There's no reason why you can't be doing this or better. There's no reason, right? You just have to know the systems. And I love changing lives. I love helping people do it. But are you ready to take the jump? Are you ready to really call all the consulting companies out there? Maybe you talk to someone and they really turned you off. Do you just not call any more consulting companies? Call the next one. Call the next one. Or call someone that can help you. Here's the last thing I'm going to say. I saw a post, and this is how the industry thinks. Maybe some of you guys saw this on the Century page. Somebody posted their school. It was their second location, maybe. They were already vested and already committed to a third location. COVID hit. Their business went down. They went down to like 50, 40 students. I'm reading this whole post, and they had to sell their house, sell their cars, sleep in the school. And I'm waiting to hear about how they came out of this and how they're flourishing now. And there was no flourishing. They just said, well, we have to open that next location because we've already committed, and we'll see how it goes. We're going to push forward. one of the comments on there was finally somebody that speaks the truth. And when I read that, I'm like, I speak the truth. I just don't have that kind of struggle. But it's like when somebody posts struggle, part of some people just believe, oh, finally, they're speaking the truth. But if I only talk about how successful we're doing, does that mean I'm not speaking the truth? Because what you should ask is, how easy is it to be successful? It's not. It's not easy. But because we bust our ass and we study and we pay attention to our numbers and we listen to all the other people in the industry about what they're doing right and wrong and we take action, that's the hard part. Because of all that work, we don't struggle. Can we struggle? Yes, that's part of the fear. That's part of the frog in the throat. I'm afraid tomorrow the world can change again, but I'm ready for it, right? That's the stuff that we can help you guys with. Go ahead.
By the way, I mean, on a personal note, I've talked with Metzger about some things, and there is some of that fear because he says it all could change tomorrow, but that's having that fear, right? That stomach in your throat to keep pushing you and driving you forward because he says that often to me, like this could, everything could go away tomorrow. And now the reality of that happening doesn't matter. But that's his mindset, and that's what motivates him to keep moving forward. Well, clearly that's working. And I've made the mistake, as I've said this to you in past years. I made the comment, and this is probably only 3 or 4 years ago, and I've had to reshape what I say because it's not accurate. But it's interesting. Sometimes we don't listen to the words that we say, and we really need to listen to what we're saying. I made the comment to him. I said, "Well, yeah, dude, you're lucky. You don't understand. Like, you have these people who have been with you for umpteen years. It's not that easy." Well, wait, is he lucky, or did he just take care of his people and he did it on purpose? And it was the choices he made to keep the people and create the culture and do all of those things. And so I've had to recant that statement because that's not luck. There's no luck about that. It's about how you treat your people, the culture that you have. And that's why there's this executive team today and why there's so many other great, team members in Orlando. It's because of those other things that sometimes, maybe aren't quantifiable or measurable, but they're measurable when you have your anniversary cards and you're handing out how many years people have been with you. That's measurable and that's inspiring, and it's inspiring for other people to see that as well. And if you're, like a lot of schools, staff and team can be a struggle, but this is why it's so important to have that culture and build people up. And again, it's not just the choices that you make in your business for you and for your business from a financial standpoint, but it's the choices that you make for your people in your business and what can you do to help to get them to the next level. And whether it's changing lives in regards to martial arts, right, and your students, changing the lives of your instructors or your employees. I mean, and he just talked about his nephew being over, right? Like, he's in that's just Mets. It's his constant. He's always about helping people regardless of who it is. And I think if we take that, I think a lot of us have that similar approach, but maybe sometimes we focus so much on our students that we forget maybe about our instructors or our staff or our team or ourselves sometimes, right? And I think if you kind of look at some of those things, it will help you get to a place. You don't have that benefit maybe right now, right? You don't have the benefit of having a team to bounce things off of and go execute and go do things that Mr. Metzger has. Well, you're never going to have that opportunity. I think and we've been talking a lot about Mr. Kovar the last couple times we've been down, but Mr. Kovar, I remember him saying, teach a class of 5 like you teach a class of 25. Otherwise, you'll never have a class of 25. So whether you have one team member, no team members, whatever it is, treat those people like it's a group of 20 team members, because if you don't, you're never going to get to have 20 team members. And maybe that's not for you, by the way. Maybe you don't want multiple schools and all the things, but it's, I think you look at it from a perspective of, well, what can you do? And I think we all know, we all hear this. We hear this all the time. I just want to impact more lives. Well, if that's really the case, then take care of the people that you have, because those people are going to help you to reach more people to impact their lives. But man, we are in an unbelievable industry. We really are. Sometimes I do have to pinch myself. Years ago, I remember reading something about like the perfect business opportunity, and the perfect business opportunity is something that has recurring revenue to it, something that has an ascension model or an upgrade model to it, and being able to basically, it's, I don't want to say this is martial arts isn't consumable, right? But it's knowledge based. It's not like we have this product or whatever. With our product is our teaching and developing the life skills in our people. But you can take this wherever you go, because it's knowledge that you pass on. And we are just in an unbelievable industry at an unbelievable time. And back in the day, I remember EFTs were something that was brand new, trying to get people to pay monthly. If you remember that, right? Like, well, we make it easy. We just have your bank pay our bank, and I remember trying to get people on that. Well, that's mainstream. As silly as that may sound, like, that's mainstream now, and people are doing recurring stuff all the time. And it's so, we just have to get, I guess my point is this: we just have to look at where we're at. Where do we really want to be? And you have to ask yourself. I think if you ask a lot of our coaching clients, what would you have done differently? Most every one of them would say, I would have gotten coaching earlier. I would have done it sooner, and I would have taken action sooner. And I just hate to see people drag their feet and go through so much struggle when there's help out there for you, regardless of whether, like I said, whether that's us or anybody else. Take action, man.
And keeping an open mind, practice what we preach. The reason why we are so good at growing schools is because we do one-on-one consulting, and we listen to our clients and we listen to their wins and what they do. But also, I'm going to show you this. One of my team members, Mr. Nick Peterman, the chief director, he came to me and he said, can we go over this? I want to propose this. Do you see what the title is, Tass? I didn't even tell you about this.
Oh, PTO structure.
Yeah. He goes, let's take care of our people even more.
Is that like your parent teacher organization structure, or what?
Right. Yeah. Right. Paid time off. Right. And he put this whole proposal together, and it's so much better for the staff and the team. I mean, they're getting, I think our max days, no matter how long you were with us, I think was 10 days. Anytime you want, plus you get paid for any time we're closed. We always close for almost 2 weeks over Christmas. We're closed for the Thanksgiving. We're closed Labor Day, all these holidays, right? 4th of July, you get full pay for that. Well, now with this structure, you get up to 20 days of whenever you want, plus all the other days that we're closed. And I said, yeah, let me look at it. Let's go over it. And we signed off on it last week. I mean, because I can't say I'm the owner, I know better than you, No, I don't. He's working directly with our team. So I got to learn from him now as much as he has to learn from me. And that's what makes us a team. Now, Mr. Walls, you said, what do you think makes Maya different or better than all other consulting companies for martial arts? No idea, because I've never been a part of any other consulting companies. That's something that you can answer maybe if you've experienced it. I know Tassel's worked with other consulting companies. And by the way, and I mean this respectfully, this is not a direct answer to Mr. Walls, but I say this all the time. I really don't care what the other consulting companies are doing. I've seen consulting companies come and go. The only thing I can tell you is our model. If anything makes us different, it's our model. And at the end of the day, would you get more attention in a private lesson or a group lesson? We do private lessons. I mean, we do one-on-one consulting, but that's not, if I was consulting another consulting company, I would tell them not to do that because you can't scale that. I would say, well, how many consultants do you have? Well, we have 3. Well, how many clients can each consultant handle if they're doing one-on-one consulting? 20. Okay, so you're going to max your business at 60. And then what? Well, we have to hire more consultants. Well, man, if we do a group consulting format, we can have one consultant handle 60, and you can just do it. That's not what we're here for. Our number one objective here is not to feed our families from the consulting business or the money that consultants make. Our number one objective is to do the job we were hired to do by Century Martial Arts, is the parent company of Maya, and that is grow martial arts schools. That's our focus. And I believe, and not everyone believes it, but I believe you need to have a one-on-one consulting model in there, because I believe that's the best way to handhold somebody and make sure they're being held accountable. They have no questions. They understand the task at hand, and we're there for them. I just So just real quick, I trained with Mike Lee yesterday. Mike Lee owns the Jungle MMA. He coaches UFC fighters. He's fought over 40 MMA fights himself. Seth Petrozelli, who was on CBS, who knocked out Kimbo Slice, UFC fighters, as his partner. Seth, I've known for 15 years now, 20 years, whatever it is. But anyway, Mike comes over every Wednesday and trains and coaches us, and I train every morning in jiu-jitsu. And yesterday, Mike was talking about breaking everything down to be simple, right? And he said, why are you making, he was talking to somebody else, I get some of the guys in the class. There's like 4 of us. I'll invite a few people, and there's like me and 3 other people and Mike Lee. And he said, look, why are you making this so hard? You're asking. He goes, right now, I'm a coach. I'm not a trainer right now. And I told him, Tass, how this relates to what we do. But he goes, a trainer is where they're going to teach you the fundamentals. I got to train you on how to throw that jab better, right? How to throw the cross better, how to get in the clinch better. He goes, but when it's time to coach, I don't have time to say, grab his left hand with your right hand. No, the other hand, and do this and that. He goes, if I tell you something when we're in training or in a fight, the trainer already failed. He goes, if you don't know how to throw the punch, the trainer has failed already, right? So, hold on, I'm just trying to, that's Perry's computer. So he said, the analogy he was using, he's like, look, why are you letting him get back to his feet? Not me. He was saying, because I don't let anyone get to their feet. I'm kidding. He goes, why are you? He goes, look, ride the hips, just ride the hips. And he goes, and then the questions were, well, do I grab it? He goes, look, if they can't put their hands and their feet on the floor, they can't get to their feet. If they cannot so just don't let their hands or feet get secure. So if you see the hand, just break the hand down, pull this way, pull that way, bring them backwards. Just don't let them get their stability with their hands or their feet on the ground. Simplicity. What we do in Maya is, Task, we're educators. We got to, in his term, he calls it trainers, right? I call it educators. We got to educate you on how to do these tasks properly. So we're educators. Then we're motivators, because we got to motivate you sometimes when you're just feeling like, man, I'm just down. I just feel like we had a bad month. I'm just not motivated right now, or I just had somebody quit, a student quit. We got to motivate you. And that has nothing to do with education. And then the last thing is we're a coach. And a coach comes in when we get on a call, you just didn't get the stuff done, and we got to give you a kick in the ass to get it done. Go get it done, right? So we're these 3 things. That's what I believe might make us different, but maybe all the other consulting companies do this too. The other thing is I get text messages. I have a text message here from a client at 2:14 a.m. on my cell phone, 2:14 a.m. When I tell people that they can text or call us any hours, you can. I didn't respond till 7:30 a.m., but we always try to be here for our clients the best we can, So that's one of the things that I think makes us different. And Mr. Weaver said, that was elevator chat. This is basement chat. Where is the line between being a high-end escort of simply trailer trash, for lack of a better example? Do you base a lot of your research on what people earn in your community, or you set your rate and be done with it? That is a brazen way of putting it, right? Because there's certain clientele. Our rates are rate. I have some locations in real high-income areas, and I have some locations that are not in high-income areas. Like we have one that we've had since 2001. So it's 21 years in the same location, in the same area. That location has gotten older and has gotten more impoverished, let's say, over 20 years. But when we change rates across the board. We focus on value, right? We focus on value, and I believe everybody can afford it. I don't believe everyone can afford it based on all the other stuff they're doing in their life. So my job is to create such value that they may say, I can't afford this anymore because I want to do that. And so our rates are rate. I mean, we don't look at now, caveat, when I search for a new location, I always like to look at income, right? When I first seek it out, income, a certain income level, and a good location. Always do that, because I don't want to I don't want to make it harder than it needs to be. And that's the talk about the $1,000 cheaper in rent, moving a half a mile down the street. I'll pay $1,000 more to be in a better location. But at the end of the day, rate's the rate. I mean, and when I raise rates in one school, all schools go up. Tass?
And and a couple things on that. Number one, just for clarity of anyone watching this, right? When we raise rates, it's for new people coming in, by the way. Just want to be 100% transparent on that. And number two, Mr. Weaver, you have to look also and find out, where are you at now? Where do you potentially want to go to? And do the numbers support you raising the rate? Which means, okay, what is your enrollment rate of the people that are coming in right now? And if you're enrolling 80 or 90%, 70% or higher, I would say, bump your rate by $10 for new people coming in. If you can maintain your enrollment percentage at 70, 80, 90%, you can look at bumping it again later down the road. But you're going to let the community tell you what you're worth. But if you're not enrolling that number of people or that percentage of people, don't just assume it's because we're charging too much. There may be some presentation challenges that go along with that. So it's not a direct answer to your question, right? It's more of some generalities, but there are things to look at, when looking at your rates. If you're raising rates, the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it. I mean, there's a lot there. But that's the just kind of adding on to what he said. And then later we can use those rate increases. We can use them for our existing students if we want to get them to renew early or whatnot, because we can lock them into those old rates. So there's just some different things that we can do there. Speaking to Mr. Wall's question, what makes us, Maya different? You didn't use any other consulting companies, and I did. And I won't name any names, and I don't know where they are today versus what they were doing years ago. But I will tell you, for me personally, the biggest attraction to Maya was the transparency. It was just the honesty. It was the, not only just an idea, but here's the thing. Here's the poster, the postcard, the flyer, the materials that are needed to go get the job done. Now, some of you watching may say, well, we get all that on Maya Edge. You do. But if I sent you home a toolbox and every tool in the toolbox from Home Depot, and I said, I need you to build me cabinets for my house, you have all the tools to do it. But if you don't have the skill set and the coaching to understand how to do that, it doesn't matter if you have all the tools or not. You're not going to be able to do it. So I always say Edge is great. There's a lot of great stuff on Edge. It's a business. It's like Google for martial arts schools, right? Everything is there that you need to run your business. But when you couple that together with the coaching, it can launch you to the next level. So for me, it was just the transparency and the resources that were available, as opposed to sitting down and saying, hey, this is what you should do. And then I would sit in front of Microsoft Publisher at the time and think about how it was going to make the flyer look, what it was going to say, it just was so much time being spent on those things. So for me, that was the biggest difference is having the resources available, and then also the transparency and the business systems, true business systems. Here's the 4-step system. Here's this step system. Here's this system to make it easy, duplicatable, replicatable for our team. So that's my answer. But I don't know if that makes us better than anybody else, right? But I know it's what worked better for me. So that's
And
that's
by
why
the way, Mr. McClung,
talk to people.
Mr. McClung, the motivation sometimes is just to take a deep breath, get a change of scenery. But the motivation is you have to believe that literally in 90 days, your entire world can change. Entire world can change. A lot of times it can be in 30 days. I mean, you just heard me say just last weekend, we signed up 151 new students. You didn't miss the boat on anything, but you got to execute. You got to put your head down, and you got to grind, and you got to push for the next 60 to 90 to get you into a space to where you can now start building and be motivated when you get some of those results. And I said earlier, is it easy? No, it's not easy. But you have us. I mean, you can always call and get a call every day and just say, I need a kick in the ass. Just tell me what to do. I got to go do it. I need motivation, right? But it's about execution. You're no different than anybody else. You can change everything very, very quickly.
And put that in perspective, Mr. McClung, because he just said 151 students. By the way, just for reference, Was it last week, Mets? We talked about how many people, or that was it the week before? How many people you had? How many leads you guys had for Meet the Teacher?
Yeah, last week maybe.
And you guys all,
Yeah,
yeah, you guys all asked us the number. I don't know if you remember this or not. You guys all asked us the number, and we said, it would be 500, 250 would show, 125 would enroll.
and I said, ask us.
Well,
Yeah, I even told everybody, ask us on the next week's show. What did we do? That's right. I said it last week.
but watch, you did. Okay, but watch. It wasn't 250 that showed. It was like 214 that showed, and it was 151 that enrolled. So, and he said there's several hundred leads that need to be followed up with yet. So the numbers are even higher than what we said they were going to be, right? But I think that's important. However, for Mr. McClung, I know what it's like sometimes to hear those things, because it's like, well, that's him. It's 7 schools, and what are we going to do? Well, let me give you some other inspiration. Metzger and I both got a text message from a client last week. This is a single school owner operator who, by the way, 4 years ago, tops now, had 38 students in his entire school. So just keep this in mind, and now has over 200 and some students in his school. And the message that we got from him was he had his mass intros from the event that they were doing. 78 people were registered. 52 people showed up, and he enrolled 38 people on 1-year programs. One school had 38 members in total 4 years ago, and now has over 200 doing 45, 50,000 a month. Bigger months than that, even, but consistently.
And this goes on and on and on. We got the other text, and they had 31 people show, 29 enrolled on 1-year programs. Right. 29 of 31, right? But listen, we won't take up all your time. I just want to say, Mr. Weaver, Metz, your response makes much more sense when you were in 4K. However, TAS made me think, even though it's 1080p, regardless of clarity, you guys make things clear. That sounds like a damn Hallmark card, Weaver. And I will tell you, that's the sweetest thing anyone's ever said to us. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness.
Good
Good stuff.
Anyway, guys, go out and execute. Don't sit here and watch us. Any last words, TAS?
I won't get into crypto.
Good.
But I'm going to say this. I heard somebody talking about, some crypto king. This is not financial advice, just to be very clear. I'm going to bring it full circle. But he said, get off zero. Like, just go do something and get involved a little bit, right? That was what he said. Here's my point. Don't go buy crypto. But what I'm going to tell you is, get off zero. Get off your ass, get out there, go do something and make things happen, and stop with the excuses of, well, I can't get into the schools. I tried. I can't do this. We don't have people for a mass intro. Get off of zero and go get 5 people scheduled for a free community event this Saturday or next Saturday. But get off of zero and stop doing nothing. Start doing something. And one of my greatest quotes, according to someone I was in the mastermind group with years ago, and this is actually pretty funny, I made the comment from 1 month to the next when I came back. I said, it's amazing. When you do shit happens. Like, that was and she wrote this thing down. She goes, I will never forget that. And it's true. Like, when you do things, things happen. So the question is, what are you doing, number one? And are you prioritizing the things that you need to do? Or are you doing the things that make you feel good? Well, I got to make sure my mirrors are clean, my floors are vacuumed, they're mopped, and things are tidy. Because, for retention, we're going to keep students a lot longer if we have a clean school and it looks tight. Of course, all those things are important. In the meantime, we're sitting at 85 students. The most important thing is to go get more students. Don't fool yourself on that. And if you don't know what to do, that's when you have to ask for help. And that's where we can give you the ideas. But then it's up to you to make the choice, to make the call, right? Not number one. Then it's up to you to make sure that you execute and have an open mind, and then execute the ideas that you get. And that's really what it comes down to. So that's kind of bringing it full circle from where we started.
That's it.
That's all I got.
That's great. That's good stuff, TAS. We'll go out there, guys. We appreciate you. If we can help, all you got to do is find us. Pick up the phone. If that's what they do these days, private message us, contact Maya if we can help, or call someone. If you want to grow your school, people can help. So
right on.
Have a great one.
All right.
See you, buddy.
Good seeing you, man. See you later, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate everyone.
Bye bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.